Ahoy there, Nickelodeon fans, and welcome to This Week in Nickelodeon History. My name is Captain Eric, and we are going over all of the Nickelodeon shows that either started or ended between the times of December 12th to December 18th. And our first show, or series, long-standing series, that we're starting out this week, 6 years ago on December 15th, 2015, we saw the very final episode of Nick News with Linda Ellerbee. Linda Ellerbee has been a staple of Nickelodeon programming for decades. I'm sure the older Nickelodeon audiences obviously will remember her a ton more than maybe the later ones. I don't know how frequently they were still putting out Nick Newses, but the show was created by Linda Ellerbee and ran for 24 seasons of 178 episodes. The show was a program to just bring a chunk of the world to young minds. It was a way to have a conversation that younger audiences would be able to understand and follow along, so that the world's events, could be explained by somebody of her profession. She had guest stars like former presidents, former vice presidents, well-known athletes, and it wasn't just fluff pieces and whatnot. That they dealt with serious issues here and there. And Nick News, just an absolute staple from its start in 1992, going all the way to 2015. The show was also nominated for a number of Primetime Emmy Awards 22 times in its 23-year history. It was nominated with 9 wins across that time frame. So, Nick News, like there always should be programming like that on Nickelodeon, in my opinion. I think where other networks could take that time away, that hour to other programming. I think even though it's not going to get the most eyes, I think it is important for those who do choose to watch that kind of programming to learn a little bit more about the world, and in a way that just doesn't have to be political at all. Like, just, hey, here is just fact of what is going on, not just in current events and whatnot. Nick News handled a multitude of different things going on in the world, different stories to bring to young minds. It wasn't just about America politics or whatnot. So I think there's always room for that kind of programming here. 7 years ago, on December 15th, 2014, React to That premiered on Nickelodeon. Developed by Nick Cannon, Benny Fine, and Rafi Fine. The show, if you don't know those names, that's actually the Fine brothers, the duo behind a lot of the reactionary videos on YouTube. So much so that they tried to actually patent the word react and have a stranglehold on reaction videos, even though they've been around since people could put cameras in front of their faces. So yeah, this was a way of bringing YouTube content to television. It was based obviously on the React series of videos that the Fine brothers put together on YouTube, bringing Nick Cannon into the fold, and then making a television show that would run on Nickelodeon. It only ran for one season of 13 episodes, and this was during that time, which I think they've slowed down on, but they kept trying to take successful YouTube content and make television properties out of it, and it doesn't really work. If something is successful on YouTube, it's a specific place to be. It's its own network. You can't just take that and go back to the old medium of cable television. It just doesn't always translate all the time. You can certainly take an idea from YouTube and mold it and do something different, and I guess try, but television is still like eventually the clips just end back up on YouTube. It's just the kind of the cycle anyway. So might as well just start there. I would agree with. Let's see. 13 years ago, on December 12th, 2008, we had the final episode of South of Nowhere. Created by Thomas W. Lynch, the show is a teen drama series that aired on Noggin. It ran for 3 seasons of 40 episodes. 14 years ago, on December 16th, 2007, we had the final episode of Unfabulous, created by Sue Rose. The show ran for 3 seasons of 41 episodes. It was starring Emma Roberts, who has, since leaving Nickelodeon, gone on to have quite a career for herself in so many other ways in both film and television. But this is where she started. A lot of fans of this show will tell you that it is a very underrated Nickelodeon show. And I don't have an opinion on that, but let me know what you think. If you think Unfabulous is an underrated show, let me know. Maybe it's just something I'll have to check out. 17 years ago, on December 17th, 2004, Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events premiered in U.S. theaters. The movie was a Nickelodeon Movies release, and Paramount Pictures was made for a budget of about 140 to 142 million and made about 211.5 million at the box office. The film was starring Jim Carrey as the orphans, the main antagonist of the series, and the orphans' first sitter after their parents burn up in a horrible fire. The Baudelaire children. Jim Carrey played Count Olaf, a character that throughout the book series is after the fortune that the Baudelaires have eventual access to when they are older, and continues playing different characters in different books of the series, all trying to get his hands on the children to get their fortune. And Jim Carrey is just a perfect actor for this kind of role. Now, this movie doesn't just adapt the first book in the series. It has a interesting take and takes the first 3 books in the series and has one, cohesive tale going through book to book. I have to say it worked in its favor, and I enjoy this movie a great deal. I love Jude Law as Lemony Snicket, the writer of this series. I was going to say fictitious, but no, I respect Lemony Snicket and his work a great deal. I like Jude Law's voice as Lemony Snicket. It's kind of the voice I kind of pictured when I was reading those books when they were coming out. A few of the other Billy Connolly, Cedric the Entertainer, Meryl Streep, Jennifer Coolidge all do a fantastic job in this movie. And not to just shout out all the adults, but the Baudelaires themselves: Liam Aiken, Emily Browning, and Kara and Shelby Hoffman. Of course, there was a baby Baudelaire, Sonny, who was played by twins. Usually, in movies and television shows, if there's a young child, it's best to find a twin so that you can continue working for longer periods of time and be able to swap out the baby in place, so that you can follow all the rules and whatnot and the guidelines. So this is I also highly recommend, if you are a fan of the series, to check out the Netflix revival of the series, which does honestly better justice if you're a fan of the books. But in terms for the time and place of this being made and getting Jim Carrey as the lead role, it works, and I do like this movie, and it has a bit of sentimental value, and some of Jim Carrey's portrayal of characters I actually like better than Neil Patrick Harris doing his Count Olaf and then going on doing his characters as well. Some of them I just do prefer with Jim Carrey. He has charisma that just he commands the room, and his Count Olaf is absolutely fantastic. But if you're a fan of the books, if you're a fan of this movie, shout out. Let me know what you think. Maybe you're a fan of this, maybe you're not. Who knows? But you can tell me. 21 years ago, on December 17th, 2000, we had the final episode of Noah Knows Best, a sitcom created by Ken Littman that ran for 1 season of 13 episodes. 22 years ago, on December 12th, 1999, we had the final episode of the original run of Figure It Out, created by Kevin Kay and Magna Leolis. The show is a game show where a child contestant with some sort of skill or, special thing they own or they're able to do, an award they won, just something that has to be guessed by a contestant panel of Nickelodeon stars, during which there is also a secret slime action that only the audience is known of, where in which any of the contestants at any point in time could be slimed if they happen to do the action, which could be something as simple as itching your nose, or could be so specific that they just make it because they just want to slime maybe a special guest star on a show. If they have Steve Burns from Blue's Clues on, the secret slime action just may be somebody who talks to an imaginary puppy or talks to a blue puppy, and just he gets slimed at some random point in time because, hey, that is true. It was an incredibly fun show. It was originally presented during this original run by Summer Sanders. It was one of my favorite Nickelodeon game shows because it was just funny seeing the contestants kind of fumble over themselves and fumble over any of the obvious guesses they were given to try to say the action. The gimmick being, what would happen is whatever their action or skill, they would have this board in which, I think Billy the Talking Head, I think that's what his name was. On the top of my head, that's exactly what that was what I pictured. Let me just double check on that. Let's see. Come on. Billy the Answerhead. Got that right. So Billy the Answerhead had all of the words of the skill, like can do 2 backflips in a row. And each word would be kind of blanked out. And if any of the contestants, one at a time, they would be able to guess a word that was on the board. And if they just said the word itself, it would appear and they would be able to then, guess and whatnot. If the kids were able to, I think, what was it? If they were able to stump them, the kid would win more prizes. But if like each round they would go, if they got all the answers, they would only get like the prize of that round. So the kids would want, them to be able to stump the contestants, which did happen a significant amount of time. I loved Figure It Out. It's such a simple show. It did come back for a revival in 2012, lasted about a year, but I still think there's juice in these game show tanks. I mean, why not? Let's have some fun. Bring an adult version of this show back to television at Nick at Night and have adult skills. I mean, we have America's Got Talent. Let's see what like the older Nickelodeon crowds, go on a nationwide tour and do a Figure It Out like live tour and air it on television. I mean, that's just really fun. And that is this week in Nickelodeon history. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day and making me a part of whatever you listen. I'm sure you all have different podcasts that you listen to, and I appreciate you making mine a part of your rotation. If you appreciate any of the content I put out, audio, video, otherwise, if there's any way you can share that around, like, subscribe, any of that stuff, it's always appreciated. Just your listen alone is good enough, but anything a little bit extra, hey, you're a friend of the captain. So thank you for being a part of the Ready Crew. We'll see you next week. Stay safe, everybody. Have a good one.
On the Lord Hut, here a hut, Nick. On the Lord Hut, here a hut, Nick. On the Ricky Tickle, while living #1 Nickelodeon.